listening to the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing in Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing, but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Brit and I'm here today with Kate Quin, owner of katequin.com. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kate.
Hi, Brit. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be talking with you today.
I'm so excited to have you. So I first found out about Kate through Jenna Kutcher's podcast, the Goal Digger podcast. Kate was interviewed / kind of coached on Jenna's podcast, and I found Kate's story to be so interesting, very different from the types of stories, business startup stories than we're used to. So I'm really pumped to get to chat with her today, get some insight into her business, her industry, her marketing strategy, and what makes it all tick. So Kate, you ready to jump in?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. So first of all, Kate, tell us how you earn your living.
Okay, so basically I work mainly with wedding photographers. So I support them with all their behind the scenes marketing. So that can range everything from blogging to submitting their work for publications to be featured, album design, kind of those are the main categories, but it can be anywhere from doing their promotional materials in terms of graphic design, kind of supporting them and being able to take things that drain them in their business, taking those off their plate, kind of putting them onto mine to really free up the time for them to focus on the things that matter most to them. Just allow them that kind of bring some balance back into their life, I guess. So,
and I can just feel all of our photographer listeners right now just being like, wait, somebody does this for people? Like, yeah. Their ears definitely just perked up. I have some photographers in my network for sure it's easy to get bogged down with all those things. You want to shoot, you want to go do your art and your creation and not get bogged down with all of the other stuff. So that's what Kate does. That's so cool. Okay. So being that you do essentially assistance for photographers, and everything that comes with that, I would love for you to tell us the story of how you came to do this with your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always knew that I wanted to own my own business in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not a very risky person, so it always was kind of on the back burner, but something that I was always hesitant to really dive into and jump in on my own. So speaking of Jenna, I had been following her for a while and reading her blog posts, things like that. And I read one about her virtual assistant. So Caitlin, so she was working with her at the time. And I was like, you know what? I have some friends that were photographers. I was doing a few things for them. And I thought, maybe I could turn this into a business for myself. So I actually reached out to Caitlin, which is not like me at all. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. She probably gets a million emails, especially after being on Jenna's blog, things like that. Mm-hmm. She's probably bombarded, but whatever, I'm just going to go for it. And I sent her an email and she got back to me and, gave me a few pointers, things like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And then literally a couple of days later, she emailed me back and was like, you know what, I've been thinking about this for a while, but I'm going to be selling my business. Would you be interested in potentially taking it over for me? So
Wow.
that kind of, totally wasn't expecting that. But it was basically, it just felt like everything was kind of falling into place. So like I had been thinking about this, and here it was, like right in front of me. And again, not like me at all, but it felt right. So, back and forth, we chatted about it, and I purchased her business. So it was great because for me personally, I don't know if I would have done it without having it happen this way. I don't know if it would have happened. So this way, it was nice because I had a business that was already established, and I was able to come in. And the nice part about it is I didn't have to keep, like, obviously it was under her name, so I wasn't going to keep her branding. I was able to still make it my own, and create my own business, which was something that was important to me as well when wanting to have my own business. Was I still want to brand it for me and have it reflect who I am as a person. So essentially I was purchasing like her client base and kind of all her workflow systems, everything kind of in the back end of the business. That's what I ended up purchasing, and then was able to create my own thing out of it, which became katequin.com. So
that's amazing. Yeah. So you don't hear these stories very often where someone purchases a service-based business where there's not a product that you're taking over and then selling as your own. You're like you said, you purchase the client base and all the systems within that business. Very interesting. So, my very first question, and as I listened to you on Jenna's podcast, I kept thinking, what was that transition like? Like, how do you purchase a service-based business and essentially get handed clientele that you've never actually worked with personally? What did that transition look like?
Yeah, so it had its ups and downs for sure. Caitlin's amazing. Like, I'm sure if anyone's heard of her through Jenna or listened to her on the podcast, she's just a super sweet human being. So she stayed on. So basically in September of last year was when all this came about. So from September until January, she stayed on with me, and was amazing. She trained me in everything that she would do for her clients. So literally breaking down her current client base and kind of training me in how they like things done, so that if no one really knew, it was like I was, I was Caitlin. Like, not that we kept anything a secret, but just, she trained me so well that for the clients, they really didn't notice much of a difference. So that was really nice. However, time of change, when we notified the clients that Caitlin was leaving and I was going to be taking over, I think it's just a natural point where everyone just reassesses everything, right?
Sure.
If things stay constant and status quo, they kind of, everything's good. But when this came about, there was definitely a few clients that decided, to just take a different direction with things. And I was, prepared for that. So, it ended up being where only one or two clients ended up staying with me. So in January, Caitlin stepped down and I was full owner at that point, last January. So I only ended up with 2 clients, I think, out of her client base. But again, I think that's just a natural progression with how things had to happen. So, it was kind of tricky in that sense that when I purchased the business, I thought, okay, good, I had like this client base already established. And then to find out like, okay, no, these ones aren't coming with me. And to not take that personally either, because, it wasn't like that at all. It was just, like I said, time of change for them. They reassessed everything in their business, what made most sense for them, and we parted ways. But, so it it was interesting, but good learning experiences too as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. And we'll make sure that we link over to Caitlin's interview with Jenna on Jenna's podcast, so you can see that perspective, right? Because we've got Kate and Caitlin,
Absolutely,
and they're
yeah.
the two different, and I know that Caitlin goes into that transition from her perspective too, as the seller of the business. So we'll definitely link over to that. But now so let's dive into, you buy the business and a couple clients stick around and you start working with them. How did you grow the business from there? What did you do to start attracting now your own clients, since now you're a business owner, like it's for real now? What did you do?
It's for real. So Jenna's podcast, being on her podcast helped me so much, but I'll go into why it was maybe a good thing, but also maybe not a good thing at the point I was in my business. So yeah, I was on her podcast. It gained me a lot of exposure really quickly. It got my name out there really quickly, which was great. And that's kind of how I secured a lot of the next clients that came on board, and very quickly. So I got a lot of traction that way. But on the other hand, I wasn't at the point in my business where I was really ready to handle the volume that came in. So that's why I say it that way. Like, I'm very fortunate that I was able to kind of gain that immediate traction right away. But having said that, I was so new in my business that I didn't have as many things kind of set up, systems in place. Like, how was I going to manage all of this? And being a new business owner, you never want to say no when it's potential clients coming in. So, I had some learning curves there as well. So that's kind of how the next ones came in line. But other than that, it was really through social media. I think specifically with photographers anyways, that's like Instagram's like where it's at for them. So, and I'm still not the best at it, but just being present there, using the correct kind of hashtags that I think would draw in the type of ideal client that I was looking for. But yeah, I think that's kind of in the beginning. Now I've kind of switched over to more referrals. So I have a lot of my current clients that have people they're working with, a lot of photographers that I work with do mentorships. They're doing a lot of educational type things. So they're working with clients as well, other photographers. And so it's just like a natural thing. They talk about, well, who does this? How do you manage this? And then my name gets dropped from them as well. So lately I've had a lot of my newer clients are referrals from my current clients, which, I mean, that's kind of the ideal scenario.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So lucky that way for sure.
Wow, that's really cool. So whereas you might not have gotten the clients that you thought you would have through the transition, that exposure, while a learning curve, that exposure and being connected to the right people, certainly I can just imagine just changed that business forever.
Yeah.
So you said that you fully took the business over January 2017?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So you're just about 10 months in.
It's still very fresh.
Yeah.
Still very new. Yeah.
So what are you working on right now? First, let's just talk about the business systems. 10 months in, having purchased this business, what are you working on right now as far as business systems to make it work better, moving forward?
Yeah. So basically I kind of, again, starting a business, budget constraints, things like that. I really only set myself up with like an accounting software to just be able to send invoices to people. So now I've really kind of seen the value and made the investment in a client management program. So being able to really set up a workflow that's somewhat automated, but not completely automated. So I still have that personal aspect to everything, but just being more on top of inquiries that come in. So they're getting an initial response, being able to send them questionnaires, things like that. So I can really get a feel for who's inquiring with me. And just having all that set up has really allowed me to kind of just have that customer service aspect, which I was kind of lacking before, where it was all trying to, remember it up top, and who did I get back to, and who inquired, and wait, did I hear back from them, and what happened there? So, there was a lot of not real systems in place in the beginning. So, and again, like I said, being kind of propelled super quickly and my name kind of out there, it was like I didn't even have time to really think of these things. It was just like, I just got to get through this. So now being able to kind of step back a little bit, I'm like, no, okay, this is what I need now. Like, I want this in place so that it's more professional looking, being able to send these things out right away has really helped a lot in terms of where I'm at now.
Awesome. Okay. And so that's what you're working on right now. What's coming down the pike for you? What's next?
So I want to kind of branch and focus more on the editing side of the business. So that's kind of where my background was prior to purchasing the business from Kate Quin. I was working with photographers doing retouching, photo editing, things like that. And just being around the photographers now, I realize editing is probably what drains photographers the most.
Mm-hmm.
Some love it, don't get me wrong. It's just so time consuming for them.
Yeah.
And they would rather be out shooting, like you mentioned earlier,
right,
than sitting behind their computer screen editing for hours and hours or hours. So,
mm-hmm.
Just noticing that need, I want to establish that side of my business, and I love it. So, being able to take, again, something that maybe they don't enjoy and doesn't bring them any joy, and bringing that to me that I love doing it, it just seems like something that they'd be willing to outsource, willing to pay for it. It's kind of like the number one thing from any kind of information gathering that I've done that I think photographers are willing to prioritize in terms of getting off their plate. So I'd love to expand that, and that's kind of what I'm working on. I have a few clients already that I'm editing for, and it's just kind of growing. So I'm really educating myself on that, and bettering my skills so that that I can offer that to everybody.
Nice. What I want to pull out here is, it's savvy on your part to you, because you've identified that this is what I'm good at and this is what I enjoy. So why not offer it? But also business owners that are listening, and you have things on your plate that you are either not very good at or you're good at, but you just don't enjoy. Just because you don't enjoy it, there is somebody out there that is dying to do that for you. Like, exactly. It's for everything. Even the worst things ever. And I know for some photographers, the worst thing ever is editing. For a lot of us, it's numbers, it's the finance stuff. There is somebody out there, bless their hearts.
Yeah, I know.
They just want your numbers so bad.
Exactly. Yeah. And they'll probably do it, not maybe right away, but they end up doing it probably better,
Yeah.
because they love it. But I know it's so hard. Especially for photographers where it's their art, that to give up that control. Like,
definitely,
it's hard. But I think, they have to look at it as like, yes, it's a bit of upfront work. I'm going to train somebody just as I would if you were hiring an employee, train them exactly how you want it. And that's the approach that I've kind of taken with everything, is like, I'm not injecting my personal style here. Like, this isn't about me thinking this looks really good. It's literally taking their process and replicating it step by step by step. So exactly how they like things done, so that hopefully that helps with letting it go a little bit. Because so I know that's, it's really hard, and I get it. I think all business owners, it's your baby, right? It's your business is something you've built. And so to think of someone else possibly having a hand in something is really hard. But once it happens and you have that extra time to really be focusing, like I said, on those things that you love, or those things that can push your business forward, things like editing is just something that has to be done as a final deliverable to your client. It's not necessarily growing your business in any way. So that's what I enjoy most, is like, if I can help you by taking that off your plate so that you can build your business and grow your business, to a point where you can shoot less weddings but charge more, or things like that, that makes me happy. So,
yeah, I can see it. I can see that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, some quick, easy questions now. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
I have not traveled a lot. So I'm going to just say Paris and France. My husband's family, fortunately enough, is from France. So we've been fortunate, like I said, to travel there and visit family, but Paris is pretty awesome.
Now, you said that you don't travel much, and I don't even have my passport. So that
Okay.
answer totally took me by surprise, because I'm like, dang, I want to go to Paris.
It's like the one place I've traveled outside of Canada.
Oh, man. Okay. What's your favorite way to learn? Do you read? Do you listen? Do you like courses? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'm super visual. So, and I like learning at my own pace, I guess. So I'm loving like how prominent online courses are right now, that give me that video aspect and the ability to kind of watch and learn when I have the time. So yeah, I definitely love seeing things, even down to when my clients, like I was saying about replicating their process, like I always encourage or hope that they can send me like a screen share. So even them just doing the work and recording themselves doing it on their screen, like helps so much more for me than them typing out, instructions in an email or something like that. So definitely visual for sure.
That makes sense. You help photographers. That's
just
can see how that works.
Part of me. Yeah.
Now, we've talked a lot about how people outsource things to you, and I know you're still kind of new at this game, you're still in your first year, but if you had to choose one thing, what would you love to outsource right now for you?
For me, accounting.
See, yep.
Again, I'm visual, I'm creative, I'm kind of more artistic, so numbers, I'm not good with them. Not in depth anyways. So I think as soon as I can possibly have like a bookkeeper or somebody that could keep my life organized in that sense, I would love to get that off my plate, and just, because it just kind of sits there like in the back of your mind, like, oh, I need to be doing this. I need to be more on top of this. Oh, where's that receipt? So as much as I'm organized, it's just, if I could just get that away, I'm going to do that for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm totally in that boat. Okay, one last question we have to end with. So looking back, what advice would you give to yourself when you were first starting out back in January? Maybe, right after you purchased the business, let's say that, and you're that girl on her couch, hunched over her MacBook, aren't we all the time, but really trying to figure this thing out. What would you say to her?
Oh, it feels so fresh still. So I think, maybe prior to getting your name out there is really having those systems and things in the back end established, just for your own peace of mind. I think having your workflow set up, how is it going to work what's going to happen when a new client inquires? Like, what are the steps that I need to take to ensure that they actually sign on with me? And really breaking that down. How is it going to work? How am I going to price things? Because I'm still I just did my website, I rebranded everything, because again, it was kind of quick. So, not saying that you have to have a fully branded business to get started, but I think just having that direction, knowing where you want to go, having those systems in place so that when things take off, you're like, I'm ready, I'm ready to go. versus me that was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants and just hoping for the best. For my personality anyways, I think it just would have alleviated some anxiety and some of that big kind of stress in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I did have this from the start, but I think anyone else that's starting out is having your separate office space. There's a lot of us that work from home, from the couch, things like that. And not to say that certain times of the day I don't switch it up, but I mm-hmm. think having my separate office in my house has really allowed me to keep that kind of separation between the home and work and office, so that mm-hmm. when I have an 8-year-old daughter, so that when I have to go get her off the school bus, I know like it's shutting down, like, for the night kind of thing. So having set office hours for yourself and a separate space to work, I think really helps. So if you can get that going from the beginning, I think that will, play into just keeping everything kind of separate and not spilling over, which is so hard to do in what we do. But, as best we can, I think it allows that separation for sure.
Awesome. Okay. That's great advice. So before we go, could you please tell the listeners where they can find you online?
Yeah. So probably, my website gives you the most information about my services and what I do. So that's just www.katequin.com. Mm-hmm. And then Instagram is at @KateQuin_. But I think if you search Kate Quin, you'll find me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So you heard her, girls. Go check her out, send her some love, and hop into our private Facebook group to hear even more from Kate over the next few days. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Keep the conversation going by visiting marketinginyogapants.com/Facebook, where you'll get to join that private Facebook group I've been talking so much about. There, you'll get to chat with our podcast guests. Yeah, they're in there too, and all of the other brilliant creative business owners. We're connecting, we're meeting our soul sisters, and we're building our businesses, all while in yoga pants. So come hang out with us. Again, visit marketinginyogapants.com/Facebook to get in. And one more thing. If you dig this podcast, would you be awesome and share it with someone? This entire Marketing in Yoga Pants movement is nothing without its community. So please share. And if you're really feeling the love right now, jump into iTunes. You're probably already there if you're listening to this right now. And leave us a rating and review. The more of those we rack up, the more the podcast will be found by ladies like you, and the stronger this community becomes. This episode was edited and produced by the Podcast Engineers. They're pretty great, so go find them at podcastengineers.com. This episode was also brought to you by my online marketing agency, Jam Marketing Group, and you can find us at jammarketinggroup.co. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week on the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Love ya. Bye.